Welcome to KWTV, Season 3, Episode 2, where we take a look at Ubuntu 12.04 Precise Pangolin. On the edge of real and cyberspace, there's one place you can go, and you found it. Welcome to KWTV, the one and only screencast that tunes tech to your way of life and lets the technology work for you. My name's Nightwise, and for the coming half hour, I'll be your host on this week's KWTV, where we take a quick look at Ubuntu 12.04 Precise Pangolin and the Unity interface. Hey guys and girls, welcome to the mines of Heusden-Zolder, beautiful old mine buildings here where we decided to plop down and bring you this week's edition of KWTV. Because today we are going to talk Linux again, good old geeky Linux, the stuff we like. And we are going to discuss the latest release of Ubuntu 12.04 codename Precise Pangolin. Yep, it's April, that time of the month again when Ubuntu releases a version of her operating system during its 6-month release cycle, and this time 12.04 Precise Pangolin is a long-term support version. Long-term support means that it will be supported 5 to 7 years. So if there are corporations out there who want to install it on their desktop and don't want to upgrade every 6 months, they are going to choose this version of Ubuntu. And so that means that there's a little bit of a pressure on Ubuntu because Ubuntu 12.04 is packing the Unity interface. And for those of you who don't know what Unity is kind of a new way to work with your computer that makes it feel half like a tablet and half like an OS X system and half like a Unix or Linux system. It's pretty bold and weird and different. Unity has... When you say Unity, you say controversy, because Unity has been around since, I think, 10.10, where it was first launched as a netbook interface and has been the default desktop for Ubuntu since Ubuntu 10.10. Yeah, that's 10.10. And the whole Linux community was in an uproar. How dare they trash GNOME? How dare they wade from the path of KDE and the desktop interface that we know so well? Well, Shuttleworth decided that he was going to be bold. He hadn't only moved the buttons to the left, but he also said, you are going to have a brand new interface to work with. And many of the Linux geeks, including me actually, went away from Unity because the first versions in 10.10 and 11.04 were far from stable and fast and easy to work with. So we waded through the alternatives. We went to Mint, we went to other distributions like Ubuntu, or we used KDE and tried all kinds of different things. But with 12.04, we thought that it was time to give Ubuntu another fair chance. So we take a quick look at 12.04, we guide you through the Unity interface, and we tell you all you want to know but never dared to ask about Unity. So, if this is the first time that you open up Ubuntu, you'll be, a little bit surprised with the look and feel that is coming right at you, because this is no classic desktop interface with a start bar at the bottom and some icons and stuff. This is the Unity interface. Originally designed for netbooks with small screen real estate, Unity looks completely different than anything you're used to, and it will require you to kind of move and groove through the desktop environment differently and teach you and, acquire some new skills in launching applications. You basically have to do things a little bit differently. This has been the source of a lot of controversy in the Linux world because, some Linux geeks didn't like Unity. Now, Unity has been around since 11.04, and I must admit that the first 2 versions of Unity were far from stable or pleasant to work with. Here in 12.04, Ubuntu had one more chance to get it right. This was a long-term support, was going to be installed for 5 to 7 years and supported for that matter, and they had to get it right, and luckily they did. Now, if you're not used to Unity, kind of like OS X meets a netbook desktop interface, and if you get your head around it, you'll get used to it and you'll actually start to love it, because in this release of Ubuntu 12.04, Canonical got Ubuntu and Unity right. Now, before we dive into the parts of Unity, we're going to point you at the parts of Unity. Here up top, we have the menu bar. Now, say it with me, the menu bar. The menu bar houses the contextual menus of the applications that you have running right now. Because I'm looking at the desktop right now, I get a contextual menu that lets me create a new folder, and that kind of looks like a Nautilus or Finder contextual menu. Here you have your notifications, your social networks, which GWibber and Twitter and your chat clients, your network status, your audio, your clock and date, which the user is logged in, and the menu to shut the thing down, which also comes with some nice shortcuts to system settings display which applications you want to start up automatically and which updates are available. Here you have the application launcher, or the launch bar. The launch bar houses the application launcher icons, which are big icons that represent applications. To launch an application, you just point at the application launcher, and guess what? The application will launch. Here up top you have the Ubuntu button, which you can press, or you can also press your super button on your keyboard, your Windows key or your command key, and if you do so, you will actually get the dash. The dash is a full screen overlay that lets you interface with your environment. Now, I didn't say start applications because it does look like a giant start button, but it's not. It lets you not only start applications, it will also let you do more than that. And when you have started the application, you can use another special feature, which we'll explain a little bit later on, by pressing the Alt key, which is called the heads-up display. And this is, well, kind of a command line interface to a graphical environment. So, Unity consists of the desktop, the menu bar, the application launcher, or the launch bar, the application launcher icons, or application launchers, the dash, and the HUD. What each of these items do, we'll take a look at right now. This is the launch bar. The launch bar actually hides the launcher, or houses the application icons, or launcher icons. To add an icon to the dock, or to the launcher, I must say launcher, you can just launch that application and its icon will immediately pop up in the launcher. It will have two little arrows to indicate that it is running, and if you want to, you can just right-click the application launcher and choose Lock to Launcher. That way, when you close the application, the icon stays in your launcher. If you don't like where it is, you can just take it and see if we can drag that around. Normally we should be able to. Let's see if we can. Of course it doesn't want to do it, but you can just drag to rearrange those icons around if you want to. It's not really working with me right now. And if you have more application icons or application launchers in your launch bar than you have space, they will just be stacked neatly together. You can also scroll through them by scrolling up and down, which doesn't work right now because I don't have enough applications open. I'll see to open some extra applications. And there you go. It will be nicely stacked on top of each other, and you can scroll through them quite easily and see even if you can rearrange them if you want to. Now, what you see immediately when I open an application like, for example, Firefox, let's go to that full screen, you'll see that the application, when it runs full screen, does not have any close or maximize or minimize buttons. These are up here. When you go towards the menu bar up top, you'll see the close, minimize, and maximize buttons. Pretty cool, and actually the final reason why Ubuntu moved them to the left side and caused a lot of controversy. The contextual menu for that application will be showed here, and if you still want to work with Windows side by side, you can just take different windows and kind of maximize or minimize them. Now, as you can see with LibreOffice, the contextual menu isn't where it's supposed to be, and there's a little workaround for that to get it working nicely. So the application launcher allows you to, the launch bar allows you to use application launchers and launch applications, close them, lock them to the launcher, or move them around if the system wants to work with me the way that I want to work with it. That is the launcher. The first part I showed you in this manual was Unity in 2D, which is actually designed for computers that don't have very fast graphic processors. There is also Unity 3D, which is actually the default login for Unity, and as you can see here, it looks a little bit spiffier, and indeed moving the icons around is a little bit easier. But what both versions of Unity 2D and 3D have is the dash. And the dash is this little menu here up top that lets you interact with your data. And I do say interact with your data because it lets you do a variety of things. It lets you launch applications by typing their name, like for example Firefox. It will also let you look for files, like for folders, let's say for example the home folder, and it lets you look for files inside those home folders. Now, as you can see, there is more information here than just files and folders. And although the dock is great, or the dash should I say, is great for launching applications, it can do so much more. Because here at the home section of the dash, I am actually looking at all the information that I have plugged into my Unity. There is an application section, a big home section, a files and folder section, and these sections of searching through your data are called lenses. These lenses look at your information and let you search through it by section or by everything. Now, why is this important? Because there are several lenses that you can put in there that are actually pretty interesting. Like for example, my GWibber lens. What my GWibber lens is a way to look into my tweets and the tweets that I've got out there and that I get and that I reply. And by looking for a certain subject or a certain person, I can just look with a lens into that content. There are several lenses out there. Some of them are for example, Wikipedia. Some of them are for Ask Ubuntu. Some of them are for graphics. Some of them are even for Reddit articles. So I'm just going to look if there's a Reddit article on, I don't know, Transformers, could be. And with the lens, it's a question that it has to look for the information online, so it might not be very safe. So here you look at some of the search queries that I've got on Transformers. Now, as you can see, lenses are still a little buggy because they are third-party lenses. But what you can do once you've gotten past the error is you can click on the link that you want to go to and will go directly to the article that you're actually looking for. So with your dash, yes, you will be able not only to search your own files, folders, applications, and content, but you will also be able to search the net directly. For example, with the BitTorrent lens, let's see if I can put that in. There you go. I will have direct access to BitTorrent files on BitTorrent because they made a BitTorrent lens. Now in this case it's the Pirate Bay, and I can just look in my dash, type in a search term, hit the icon, accept, and there you will see that the actual torrent will be automatically opened in the right application. So in that object, dash, not very exciting, nice to use at a keystroke. Lenses, very, very interesting. Next up, we're going to take a look at the heads-up display. When you have an application with a lot of menus, it always takes a little bit of time to navigate through the menus. For example, File, New Window, Open File, or for example, Bookmarks, Show All Bookmarks, Toolbar, and so forth. And you'll have to use your mouse or your keyboard shortcuts to navigate to all of them. If this is a pretty simple application, like in this case Firefox, it's not that big of a deal. But let's say you're using, for example, Audacity or the GIMP, and you know what the name of the command is, but you don't feel like navigating through the whole thing. Well, Unity might have an answer for you. Open up the application that you're working in and hit the Alt key. This will open up the heads-up display. And the heads-up display is a text or kind of command line graphical interface to the commands in your menu bars. Like for example, if I type bookmark, I will actually see all of the commands that are out there with the word bookmark in them. When I choose Open File, I will be able to open a file. When I say New Tab or New Window, by just typing them, now for example, if I want to open a new tab, I just type Tab, and there it is, bam, New Tab. So instead of going around with your arrows to the files, New Tab, or using the shortcut, which indeed is a little bit shorter in this regard, the heads-up display or HUD is very, very interesting when you have applications with bigger menus. Once you're used to it, you'll be able to do a lot without having to mouse around all the time and open all kinds of commands at the same time, just using the command line and using the heads-up display. Now I'm going to try if I can demo it to you here in the terminal. Let's see if I can do a new profile or network, or let's see if I can do an SSH. Are there any SSH? Yeah, I can set the title. Okay, that's okay. My super terminal baby. Boom, just change the name of the terminal using the dash. So if you know the command that you want to actually see, you can very easily use the heads-up display to do that. So that is the heads-up display, which is available in any application that you run inside Unity and will let you access any menu function straight from your keyboard and from the heads-up display. What I also really like in Unity and in 12.04 is the fantastic Software Center. It used to be an absolute pain in the behind to have to install an application on Linux, but those days are long gone. The Ubuntu Software Center is quite possibly more advanced than the Mac App Store. It will give you all kinds of applications and stuff that you can open and install, and in this case we're going to install two applications. One is a lens that you can actually add to your dash, and the second one is a application to tweak and tune your Unity interface. So first of all, we're going to choose an application from the menu bar. In this case, that's going to be the Ask Ubuntu lens, which is now has disappeared. That's kind of strange. It was there a minute ago. I'll just take another application here, the VLC media player, for example. What we do is just hit install, and it will ask us for our password, and we just type password. That's it. So when we go back to all software and I want to find the Ask Ubuntu lens again, I'll see if you can look it up for me. So I just click on it, choose install, and that is how easily one or even two applications are installed. Now let's just wait for it to pick this one up, and you will actually see in the progress bar that it should be installing two applications at the same time right now, but it is kind of fighting me a little bit. Let's see if we can do that again. There we go. Ask Ubuntu lens. There we go. There we go. So you see it's installing these two applications side by side, and you can just look for other software. And one of the pieces of software you don't want to miss is MyUnity. MyUnity lets you actually reconfigure your Unity interface to have a little bit more look and feely, because this is not a super tweakable GNOME 2 interface that you can actually, I don't know, let it resemble something like the bridge of the Starship Enterprise or the LCRS interface or stuff like that. This isn't that easily configurable and customizable, but there are some nice tweaks you can do. So as you can see, very easy to install software. Software is immediately put on the menu bar right here, where you can choose either to launch it or to keep it in the dock, whatever you prefer. So with MyUnity installed, it's time, and after demoing the fantastic software center for you, we are going to tweak that little Unity interface a little bit more before we round up. But what if that Unity interface just isn't enough for you? What if you say, this is all default Nightwise, I want something more? Well, then we have the application MyUnity to the rescue. As you can see, I just installed it from the application or the software center. And what it will actually let you do is set the transparency of your launcher bar to a lot or a little. I'm going to set it completely transparent, but we'll also let you resize those icons, and that is when it becomes pretty interesting. Then you can customize it a little bit. You can choose that it will only backlight the active icons, which for me is pretty convenient. You can choose how it will display those icons and how it will display the launcher, and you can say that you want the launcher hidden or you want it there all the time. Now, when it's hidden, it will just pop out when you when you come close to the edge. Don't touch me when I'm close to the edge, because here in the VM that doesn't really work that well, so I mostly set it fixed but set it pretty small. You can actually choose the dash to display your recent apps or your available apps, and to blur and have an automatic size. You can set the transparency of your panel. You can change some stuff on the desktop. If you still want a home icon, you could just toggle that on or off. It will let you play around with the font. I do advise setting these a little bit smaller, all of them about two sizes smaller. It's a little bit more demanding on the eyes, but the interface looks so much better when you do it like that. There you go. And you can also choose some themes. MyUnity in this regard is pretty darn spiffy, because it will let you build and play around a little bit with your Unity interface. So that was Ubuntu 12.04 with the Unity interface in a nutshell. Well, that's all we have time for this week on KWTV, where we took a look at the Unity interface. And to round it all up, well, I'm actually pretty surprised about Unity, and I actually kinda start to like it. The HUD is cool, the dash is awesome, and the lenses are what makes it really worth it. Okay, it looks a little bit clunky in the beginning, but if you do customize your Unity interface, it is amazing how fast you can get used to it and how fast you can customize it to your heart's content. And that's not really like it used to be in GNOME or in KDE, where you can basically build your own interface out of scratch. But do we still want to do this, or do we still have the need to have technology work for us instead of the other way around? So I don't know what to think about 12.04. I think I kind of like it. Unity is great. It has taken a lot of steps forward, but it is still a little bit buggy. But we are only a couple of weeks after the final release of 12.04, so plenty of bugs will probably still be filed and fixed by the time this recording airs. The one thing that I have wondered about is, are we getting old? Really? I mean, are we clinging to stuff like GNOME 2 that has been kind of revamped in the Mate interface, although it has been abandoned by GNOME itself? Don't we like GNOME 3 because it's so different? Do we grab towards distributions like Mint because we want to stick to that stuff that we're really, really used to? That bar in the bottom and that start button. And we don't want no fancy iOS or tablet-like interfaces. Perhaps that's just a sign that we're getting old. And with the third release of Unity and its incorporation into the 12.04, we can say that it's here to stay. So perhaps we should give it a fair chance, and if we can, perhaps even get on board with Unity, because the way I see it, GNOME is never coming back to Ubuntu, and KDE and LXDE and XFCE will all still be there, but they won't have the main traction of development that Unity does. So perhaps we're getting old. Perhaps it's time to adopt, but perhaps it's time that you give Unity a try. I surely did, and I must say, it surprised me, it amazed me, and I kinda like it. Well, that's it for KWTV Season 3, Episode 2, the review of Precise Pangolin Ubuntu 12.04. If you want to send us feedback, you can. Feedback@nightwise.com is the email address, or you can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/nightwise. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/nightwisecom, or look for Nightwise in Google+. You can, of course, visit the website. Do so because we have interesting articles, and you can also subscribe to both KWTV feed and the Nightwise.com podcast feed, getting you weekly and even daily Nightwise.com goodness from the edge of real and cyberspace. Tune tech into your way of life and let that technology work for you. See you guys next time. Goodbye!